Hello everybody and welcome to episode number 6 of the Moon Boy Podcast. I'm here with Dallin Anderson at High Altitude Investing. My name's Donovan Jolly at DIY Investing. And this is a podcast dedicated to helping people get into cryptocurrency, help get everybody profiting in this amazing market. It's changed my life, it's changed Dallin's life, I'm sure. If you find any value inside of this podcast, always remember to do us a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel. Dallin's channel is going to be linked in the description along with my channel so you guys can find both of our content. But really, we just wanted to make this so that we could help as many new people getting into this space, because oftentimes it's really hard to find quality content from trustable sources. I mean, when Dallin got into this, I know that you had a hard time trying to learn new stuff, and it's the same way with me. And so it really is good that we can get on here and talk less about trading and real technical analysis and do just little things to help, mentor new people getting in.
Yeah, and one of the things I think that a lot of people forget when they first get into these markets is like the average corrections that Bitcoin makes.
Right.
And Bitcoin has consistently made these 20-30% corrections along every single bull market. And so whenever you're watching the swings inside of the price, if you have like a 60% swing on the upside or 100% swing on the upside, or like the 300% swing that we saw on the upside from 3K to 14K, expecting some type of little corrective movement, healthy corrective movement is good along those areas. And I think that's one thing that I wanted to emphasize in today's podcast, because I know that a lot of people will get wrecked by just selling or trying to trade these little swings. It's important to be aware that they happen, but I don't sell and then rebuy the dip.
No, I mean that's one
maybe of the, add in on the dip if you have some cash reserves.
It's really hard to try and out trade the market per se. I mean, generally the way I like to do it is keep a significant portion in long-term holds, and then I do day trade with like a smaller position. But usually I structure it to where as the market progresses and the coins start to go up and they get closer to the all-time highs, start to scale out and then move a little bit more into just like a shorter-term trading position. But really, you don't want to try and over-trade with all of the little swings that are taking place, because like you said, with how the cycles worked in the last one, we had multiple 20-30% dips, and you never would have wanted to sell those. You would have always wanted to have a little bit of extra money that you could have put away. And so that's why when you're trying to over trade and you're trying to switch altcoins for different ones all of the time, no matter kind of all of the different swings that you're seeing with Bitcoin and different altcoins, you never really want to fully try and do that, because you just want to keep as much as you can for the long haul. Because not only that, but it's better for your tax situation as well. Because if you're trying to switch between all of these different cryptos, you're going to have to pay a tax for that. And that's why when you're trying to overtrade and you don't know what you're doing, a lot of new people that are getting into this that don't understand the tax situation, they don't understand how to keep track of all of this, they're going to put themselves in a really uncomfortable situation when they have to figure out how to keep track of all of that.
And it really just comes from usually using too small a time frames.
Right.
Honestly, most everybody that gets into over trading, they get into these smaller time frames, 10 minute, 5 minute, 1 hour, and trying to predict all these little swings and be like, oh, I'm going to make 10 trades today, and then I'll be rich and I'll go buy my new car in one day, and this kind of mentality that they can just be way smarter than all of the swings inside of a very volatile, randomized
it's just unrealistic
market.
Expectations.
And it's completely unrealistic expectations. So just remember that these bigger time frames, these 3 days, these 1 week, all those time frames are going to be a lot more useful when it comes to seeing the price action. These normal corrections won't be even scary to you. You'll just be like, oh, the candle's retracing a little bit inside of itself before it goes back up. So it's
probably the best lesson.
Perspective orientate yourself, because if you're in too small of a perspective with everything, it won't help you.
Right.
And that goes along with big picture, big picture thinking inside of the whole market, and what this will do fundamentally, and also what this will do for people's financial situations as well.
It's a really big aspect as far as how you position yourself as a trader or an investor. It comes down to your time frames, how you're going to take profit, kind of how you're going to scale into this stuff. Because if you don't understand your time frame, then you're never going to be able to understand kind of how you're trying to profit and your strategy for going about profiting. And so that's what I've tried to do with my channel. Obviously bigger time frames, because it's so much easier to know. There's more data that we have to go about trusting and using towards making our trades. And so when you can combine that, you understand kind of your trading plan, you understand which time frame, you understand all of these little factors, it really does help to go about, you know, actually being able to profit inside of all of the volatility. Because once you have your plan and you experience those 20-30% corrections, I mean, the one that we just experienced now was crazy as far as corrections, as far as we've seen. Because in the last cycle, we saw really small, minor corrections as it just slowly progressed on its uptrend. But what we saw from, you know, $3,200 straight to $14K and then correcting, you know, 55% from there, that was something that was really volatile. And so with me, you know, that was one of the biggest corrections that we've ever seen inside of Bitcoin, biggest one inside of a bull market, really. But that entire time I was trading it, I didn't care if I saw short-term losses. I didn't care, you know, how the market looked at the time when everything was going down, because obviously it looks a little bit more bearish. But I just made it an effort to just accumulate, set levels, and then take trades based off of those levels. And I never worried about it. And now all of those positions are in profit.
Yeah,
exactly. And so just having those plans, knowing how you're going to trade the market, it's going to win every single time. And now you don't even worry about it. You don't worry about the swings, and you don't have that same emotional attachment.
You know, the funnest thing in crypto there is buying the dip. If you can really find a market that fell 20, 30, 40, even 50% like the correction that we just saw, that is literally one of the most exciting things you can ever do. Because as a trader, you start to see this pattern over and over where the market does that type of a correction. Right. And then just recovers and breaks above the high and just blows everybody away over and over and over again. And every single time the market does the correction, people think it's the top of the entire market and the market's going to stop. And that's just the mentality of everybody trying to pick the top when you're the person buying the dip every single time and staying in profit. And that feeling is very, very liberating in comparison to, you know, trying to call the top and never being in the market and never buying the panic. Panic is very
it's your best friend,
rewarding, really. To be purchasing. So I think that helps with the mentality too, is just knowing how fun it is to just buy the dip and then see everything just completely explode, and you're like getting these crazy gains because you almost got in near the exact bottom of the market.
Take Ethereum Classic for an example. I mean, we corrected in that falling wedge structure, you know, for like 7 months, and then over the course of, you know, a few days, a couple weeks, you're already in profit. We're already breaking out of that cycle high, and what took 7 months is now completely gone in, you know, a matter of a week or two. And so that's why, you know, buying the dip seems really scary, because the markets continue to correct. And it also pays as far as when you're buying the dip, because obviously the people that bought, you know, in FOMO'd in 2017 and, you know, bought into 2018 as the markets were correcting, obviously they're up, or they're down quite a bit. But when it comes down to it, overall, even the people that bought up at those higher prices, when the market does reverse, major corrections that took years, that took so significant as far as just lengths of time to accumulate, those can be completely erased in the course of months. And all of those people that thought, you know,
all those losses are gone. Like that.
And all those people that were so scared about those losses are now in profit, and it just pays and it's rewarded to have patience inside of this.
And that's what happens in these big market cycles, is they go, you know, from Bitcoin went from $180 or around there to 20,000, then back down to 3.2. That's just, when it's at 3.2, that's just the biggest bear trap ever. And that's why I love those big cycles, and that's why we focus on them, is because when you get in, when Bitcoin is at the bottom of one of those huge bear traps, you know, you're buying all that fear right there, and that's just the point of maximum financial gain. And the most exciting time in the market to be analyzing. And I think that's really what defines somebody that is good at trading and crypto specifically from somebody that's bad, is how excited they get when the market's falling.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really one thing that I've noticed this cycle around compared to the previous cycle that we traded was the fact in the last cycle, it was me really learning how to trade, learning how to understand the way the markets move, knowing how to, manage my own risk, manage my positions to where I can actually sustain profitability and I'm not just losing it all the time. In that last cycle, it was just really different because I remember as the market would go up, I was always feeling, FOMO, and I was feeling greed, and then over-leveraging positions, taking losses that weren't necessary as far as just holding and being smart with your positions. Whereas this time around, just seeing this dip, seeing it go, way lower than I expected, that's a big cause for concern for the average person. But for me, I was so thankful to see Bitcoin actually go back down to those mid 6K support floor, because I did not ever expect it to go down that low once we broke out so convincingly of that level from back at December of 2019. And so I took that as a major opportunity. Even though it was going lower than a lot of people expected it, people were drawing major corrections to $1,000. I had a plan, and I really did trust the longevity of the markets. And so because of that, there was really no short-term price action that was going to sway me of my overall belief. And so because of that, I'm now in profit in every single one of my long-term positions. Altcoins are going up significantly, and I now am sitting on a lot of profit just because I was able to just, trade a plan and just stick to that no matter how scary the market seemed.
Yeah, exactly. They say scared money doesn't make money, and basically that translates into exactly what Donovan just said. If you're seeing the market and you see that it fell 50% and you're like, oh no, we're going to fall another 50% or 60%, and you're too scared to actually take a position in a logical state of mind because the market just did a correction, then you're going to miss out on what we just saw across the board. I mean, Tezos and Chainlink is breaking out, and all these coins are just going completely wild since Bitcoin fell onto the 618. And the whole market has really just shown how strong it is on these Fibonacci support levels and on that major 6K support floor that used to be support in 2018 before we capitulated that final time. And for the people that don't know what a basic capitulation means, that you fail a support level and all of the market sells and they
just
capitulate.
The low.
They get out of the market because they're scared that they can't lose any more than they've lost. And that's like capitulation, They've sold out of complete fear, which is the last thing you want to do, and the first thing everybody that's new to this does. And that's the first thing that you really need to tell yourself, that, okay, this is what I need to get over. I need to be somebody that buys these dips and averages out in greed, because if I'm selling these panic days, then I'm just going to punch myself in the face, because it's going to be really frustrating to always see that when the market recovers right after you sold.
And that's, you brought up Tezos and how that one's actually been doing really good. And I leveraged quite heavily into Tezos as far as, at the time, how big of a position I took. And so that one's been my biggest trade of 2020. And I've still yet to take any profits on that because, we're so early in this cycle. We still have yet to even have this halving. And that, to me, is just a time for accumulation. And even though we saw such a massive breakout, I think I've close to tripled my money at this point from my initial investments into Tezos. And so, because I'm still up that high, pretty much everybody would have taken profits by now. But I'm here for the long term, and you never know how high these cryptocurrencies can go. And that's why, you're going to see these short-term dips, and it's going to get volatile. You're going to see your account balance fluctuate crazy. Unrealized gains are really detrimental because you'll see these big gains, and they'll fluctuate a lot depending on your trading plan.
And you'll basically count them as you already have that money in your wallet.
And you don't. And that's one of the things
until you
have
actually sell, and then it's realized profit.
Yes, exactly. Gains. And so if you're a shorter term trader, obviously you're going to be wanting to lock away those profits. And that's why what I just said earlier, how I'm structuring it is when my long-term bags start to get towards their all-time high levels, that's when I'm going to scale out a little bit of a bigger chunk. and that's when I'm going to move that into more of a short-term trading bag that I will take and use that portfolio, because that'll minimize risk.
Once the market conditions are like so good that it's totally worth day trading, like
when the markets hit around
all of this.
Yeah, when the markets hit their all-time high, that's when all the retail money floods into it. And so it becomes really easy to find profitable trade setups. They happen very frequently, and so you don't have to risk a whole lot. And not only that, but when you can actually minimize more risk by taking some off the top of your long-term holds, because we accumulated so low when the market was just completely at its lowest. And so, you know, I can take 20% off the top 30%, and I'm still on a significant majority going forward.
Yeah, it's so important when, like, the perspective of when you're getting into the market. Getting into the market now is literally getting in at the bottom of a cycle or the beginning of a new cycle. And so because of that, it gives you so much more leeway and room to do all these different things in the market. When it breaks its previous all-time high, you've already made a bunch of money. You can take some of that and you can start doing day trades with it, because you have this abundance already. You know, you already have the wealth that you can take a small percentage or however much you want and start putting it into all these little day trade setups.
Exactly.
So it gives you a lot more freedom when you play the market smart and you get in early when the smart money gets in, like right now, and then it gives you so much more opportunity later in the game.
That's exactly what I'm doing with my signals, actually, and that's how I've structured everybody that's within my signals. I've had them mainly structured with longer term holds right now. We're mainly accumulating, we're mainly holding, and the reason for that is because I think that you'll have much better luck accumulating, like you said, making a bunch of profits, because it pays to be early in this, and then you can take those profits at different points, you know, close to these all-time high marks or whatever, however you want to structure it. And then you can actually take a lot of those profits and move them into shorter-term trading opportunities. And then it's just another source of income for you to create another money machine to just generate more overall profit for yourself. And so, you know, that's why it really does pay to just have patience and hold and accumulate as long as you possibly can. I mean, obviously, when the dips are there, you want to be buying. But you know, as long as you're sticking towards that same sort of plan and guideline, you're going to be profiting immensely over this next bull run.
It helps to just, like, think of yourself as a master. Like, what's somebody that is really, really serious about profiting in the market going to think and do? They're going to be disciplined, and they're going to buy the fear. You know, and that's what it's all about, is getting in now, because that's, like what we just said, it's just going to give you such a greater return over the long term that it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
it's really fun.
That's like the difference between pulling, like, you know, $10 million out of the market and pulling like $300K is like when you get in.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And you know, getting in right now, the people that are watching this right now, you guys obviously have some money invested, or you're looking to. Even if you haven't fully bought right now, like, and you do get in soon, this is still so early in the scheme of things. Looking at Ethereum, looking at XRP, you're looking at these coins that were valued at, you know, Ethereum $1,400 at its peak. You can now cop one for, you know, under $300. And so it's really exciting to be able to, you know, think with that long-term perspective where, you know, when we hit this all-time high and I bought 3 Ethereum, you know, that's enough for a new car. That's a new, you know, 5 years down the line, or probably not even that long, a couple years down the line, you're looking at potentially a house. You never really know. With these smart investments, with how early it is now, if you would have bought XRP in the last cycle really cheap, when you first started posting signals on your YouTube channel, you know, some people that followed him I watched somebody comment on one of his YouTube videos not too long ago, and they were talking about how they'd made a $400 investment in XRP based off of his signal, and they turned it, at its peak, it was worth $350K. They never took profits in their holding, and you know, it's going to make even more money in the long term. But that's just insane, and shows you exactly how a smart investment early on really can be so life-changing, and it can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter who you are or what your situation is.
And there's a guy that I helped get into Stellar Lumens, and as far as the biggest single trade that I know of from like my following, I mean, there's probably bigger than this, maybe even, who knows, but he he made over $4.6 million, I think, somewhere around there on stellar lumens. So
that was
that just goes to show how much you can make. That was a single trade, and you can imagine he had other positions from my signals as well. So
that's insane. And
so we really haven't even gotten to that point in the cycle yet either. We're earlier than that again. So we're earlier than when I told him to buy stellar lumens in this cycle. We're earlier than we were in that cycle when I told him that. So.
I think about how much money me and him were making in the last cycle, and it was towards the tail end that we kind of figured out a system that worked. Yeah. And now we're implementing those same systems in a now barely starting bull market. And like that's really what we're trying to teach back to everybody else is those systems that we know that doesn't work, and we're trying to help educate us all with new systems that actually do. So
the ones that do, the ones that don't, because there's always crazy ideas everybody always has. Everybody always has a million different things, like trying to go to US dollar tether on Twitter and make a trade based on a tweet that USD printed 500 million. There's a million different theories and ways that you can try to profit in the market. And really what it boils down to is what works for people that profit in other financial markets. And there's this, long studied research of technical analysis, which hands down ends up being the most effective way. And it's actually a lot more simple than most people would think. You don't have to be, you don't have to know advanced trigonometry or geometry or, crazy math equations. You literally just have to have pattern recognition and understand how to use some basic tools and have a willingness to educate yourself on this. Yeah. And I think that's what's so important to remember is that this isn't something that it's just like, it's not for everybody, but it's for a lot of people, and it can be for a lot of people. And I've seen so many different types of people do this. So it doesn't matter what age you are. I've seen, teenagers do Elliott wave theory very well, very fast. So you can learn this stuff pretty easily.
With us being so young and us just having, an overall influence with our friends and having friends get into trading or understanding, just my brother in general, my little brother, he's 18 years old, and I've taught him all kinds of different things, and he's learned all about trading just from watching me.
It's so funny, he always knows exactly when there's a good setup when you're actually showing him the charts.
Yeah.
He comes up and he just knows already. It's like he's smart for his age.
He's fully educated with how this kind of works, and it doesn't take a ton of special technical analysis to trade profitably. It's really just like an understanding and a surety within yourself that your plan is a sure plan and you're just going to trade it and follow it through. And that's really my biggest thing is this next cycle. I'm really confident with the way Bitcoin's going to perform. I'm confident in the way everything's going to work out. But that's just exciting to have, your friends, your family in on this experience together, learning it with you, being able to teach new people getting into this, whether it is your family or whether it's people that watch us here on YouTube. It's really fun just to see those profits and to see everybody kind of grow and succeed over this market.
Even all the other people that we've met up with that isn't family or even directly from YouTube, we've met so many people in the crypto world, and it always seems to be able to spark a conversation, and usually the most intelligent people are attracted to it, so it puts you in this situation where you're consistently having conversations with like-minded, intelligent individuals. And when you get yourself into something like that, it's only a matter of time before you start picking up on different sources of income, different philosophies, ideas that just benefit you, even more so than just money, just perspective on life as well. And I know for myself, I've met a lot of different people in business because of cryptocurrency, and to have them show their respect towards me and me be able to show my respect towards them and teach each other everything that we've been learning about running internet businesses or running businesses about electronics and electrician type stuff. So it really just depends. You're always going to meet new people. There's going to be a lot of different people interested in this stuff, and just to be able to tap into that. And I think that's what's so cool about crypto is it's like being part of the internet, early internet. It's like this new place with a community that is so rich with intelligence.
And there's so many opportunities just no matter where you look, because I mean, this is a revolution of just everything. It's not just the financial system, but it's business, it's, it's governments in general. Everything is going to be used and transacted on a blockchain. We're going to have, these public ledgers, and we're going to have these protocols that we use to just govern normal everyday life on the internet, because this is now the Internet of Things. And we're going to see a complete revolution in every single aspect of our lives. And I think that that's why we need to look, big picture with all of this stuff, learn how we can profit in all of the different areas. I mean, you think about it, and there's industrial ways that you can go about it. There's I've thought of a lot of different ways blockchain could be implemented in the oil field, just because of different ways that I've actually been working out there and just saw kind of how the whole oil field economy works. There's so many different ways that you can, target this new economy, and you can implement blockchain technology in a way that you can profit for yourself, and not only for yourself, but you can also just really help and make the world more efficient as well, because blockchain technology solves so many different problems. On top of that, you can use cryptocurrencies. On top of that, so many new technologies are going to spawn from this, and it's really a good opportunity for you guys to just branch out, do your own research, look out into things that interest you, and learn how you can take a part in doing this as well. Because me and him are just everyday people. We're not anybody special. We just, found a hobby, found something we're passionate about, and learned a lot about it. And that's what we want to do, is, give that information back to everybody else. And so, find your place in the community, find what you're good at, and just stick to that, because the amount of wealth and profit potential just sitting here is, unprecedented. I think that, as in hindsight, we can't quite see how big this is going to be. We like to believe that we have the vision, and we do, but we don't fully understand until it's actually here exactly how big this revolution is.
Yeah, you can't know for sure, but we'll look back at this video in the future, and people will look back and they'll be like, holy cow.
Yeah.
They knew something big was coming, but nobody could have known what actually was coming and how big it really is. And that's what's so fun. I think another cool thing that's just fun about crypto in general is that it's so new and exciting that you just want to use it. Like sending an XRP transaction, or sending a Bitcoin transaction, or a Bitcoin Cash transaction, or being like, hey, what's up, man? And you just you went uptown with your buddies and somebody bought you food or something, so you're just like, hey, give me your Bitcoin address, and you have them download their phone. You send them a little Bitcoin, and they're like, wow, this is cool, like I've never had Bitcoin before, and they go tell their friends, and then everybody comes around and they're looking at the candlesticks and the chart, and it's just like this thing that just really creates this excitement within people that I haven't seen anything else like it ever. It really, really makes people start to envision themselves having a different type of future, or even just seeing that this technology is useful. It really just sparks this interest in people, which you just don't see in any other area. Right now, as far as I mean, maybe virtual reality is kind of like that sometimes. But, I mean, even that, a lot of times what I see with virtual reality is people will do it, but it doesn't seem to be something it doesn't seem to stick as hard right now for me. It will in the future, but, or maybe it's just me, but I think that as far as crypto goes, it seems to be something that people don't want to let go of.
Well, I mean, it's much more,
it's a
much more fundamental part of society.
Money, yeah.
Money, exactly. That's the core of, everything that we've built in society, and it really couldn't function without, a source of currency. And so it really is such a fundamental part of society. And that's why I believe that blockchain is so revolutionary, that it would start with the financial system, because everything has to start with the financial system if it's going to, fully affect everything else. Because, the way that we've been controlled through society, through, banks, is anybody who has the most wealth is going to be able to control and may have the most power in life. And so I think that this is going to be a way where we can kind of unlock a lot of new money. A lot of new people can kind of take, this this new way of thinking, and we can kind of spread it out to everybody. I think that through blockchain we'll actually be able to, make sure that everybody is actually, taken care of in a way, and we'll have, systems in place that will be able to take care of everybody. And it's going to be a really cool thing to actually see how all of this is benefited, and the time frames in which it comes about being implemented. And so it
creates a free and secured economy. So if you think about what's the best possible thing that could happen for the world economy? Well, you make it free so that everybody can exchange with everybody. And second of all, you make it secure so that it can't be corrupted and manipulated. And the issue right now is that the economy used to be very closed off. We've started to open it up more. And we just need a free and open but secure economy, and crypto allows for us to do that. If we want to expand the world wealth, if we want to figure out ways to feed everybody, if we want to make enough wealth on this planet, create enough value to meet everybody's needs, we need more efficient ways of doing so. And the old methods are completely inefficient, drastically inefficient.
And have been for
and
quite some
when
time.
you find something that is so drastically better than that, it's impossible for it not, the jack is out of the box, it's impossible for it not to make that a change, that effect on, it will have a ripple effect. And so it's just whether you want to be in the front of that and, be enjoying it and sharing it with others and growing with Bitcoin, or whether you want to try to fight it. But fighting the trend is going to probably leave you one broken person, that's what it is. It's partially that you should invest in Bitcoin, but it's also that you might be screwed if you don't.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. That's just how it is.
We're going towards really different times, and so you're going to need a hedge towards, a failing economy, a failing system. And it seems weird that a digital currency could provide that, but that's what we're seeing. And we just live in an interesting time, and I believe that through blockchain and through, collapsing and rising governments and the better systems, we'll start to be able to better understand not only how money works and how money should work, but how to better understand each other. Because, when we don't have these same problems that prevent us from being more efficient, from going after bigger problems than we're currently at, then it just holds everybody back. And so I think that we're going to start seeing this implementation of these new systems, and it's going to free up a lot of space, it's going to free up a lot of time and energy. And kind of one of these weird knocks that mainstream society likes to point at Bitcoin is that it uses so much energy. And while proof of work can use a lot of energy, and it does, the amount of systems that are going to be freed up because of us using cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, it's going to free up a lot more energy in the long run.
It makes up for it.
And so I think that it's really going to be an exciting time, and we'll be able to, we've been at this point where we have so much chaos in the world, we have so many different problems, and we need solutions for them. And I believe that we have all of the technology, we have all of the resources needed to make this happen. We're just barely starting to actually get the real what's the word I'm looking for? We're just barely starting to...
Institutional adoption.
But really we're first starting to get like the real, I can't think of the word, but basically that, we're getting places that can actually make these things happen. We're starting to get the real working product implemented, and we're seeing result. Yeah, infrastructure more or less. And so, 10 years down the line, I think that we're going to solve a lot of the problems that we're currently complaining about, currently worrying about, and it's going to allow us to tackle more major things that can have a better benefit to society.
Yeah, I agree. I think one cool thing to remember, one thing that is useful, is that when we talk about like a failing economy and stuff like that, it might be scary sounding, but it's just going to basically be like a very big pulling a sliver out of a foot. Like we have an issue, and it's a big problem, but it's just something that will be rebirthed. And so when it crashes, and when we have that kind of failing event in the bigger picture of the economy, that is something that actually provides an opportunity for these systems to be better implemented and the new infrastructures to take place, and it's kind of this death and this rebirth process that isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
It's actually it's like a reincarnation of itself, a greater self, an evolution.
Take like a wildfire for an example. When there's a wildfire and a fire wipes out a big chunk of a forest, you know, it's actually a good thing for that forest, because then you get new life, and it brings, you know, new nutrients from the burning and decomposition of the old trees, and it just replenishes the cycle so that it can continue to sustain itself. And so, you know, this is going to happen. It's just the same way as it's a market cycle. You're going to have these big bubble periods, and you're going to have crashes when everything has to reset and kind of go through this process of accumulation and rebuild all of that momentum to have those better days. And it's just the perspective of life. It's, you have, you know, you're just going to always have that opposite approach to anything. You know, the only way to see a good day is to have a bad day, and you have to have that polarity to even understand it.
Kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, we just experienced the major bear market. We just experienced all of the bad days, and you know, we're starting to see all of those good days, the green days, the money in my money days, in my bank account days. Those are the fun ones.
And this is even the fun time, because we're in the disbelief that everybody's in disbelief. So we're seeing the green days, but we're about to see really, really green days, and then everybody else will start to follow along that too, you know. So
people will hear us, and they'll hear us talking about it, but nobody's going to get invested until, you know, after we're starting to break out into the next cycle. And right now we're still just being accumulated.
Yeah, we're going to get really busy when that happens. It's going to be fun.
I'm excited, really.
So
I've never been more excited, just because, you know, having the amount of money and having the amount of people that are here to just like experience this with all of us, being able to help mentor so many new people. It's going to be exciting to just see how many other people's lives are changed from this.
Yeah,
because
hear
I
the
feel
stories.
Exactly, because I feel rich every single day. I don't have to worry about things. I have highs, I have lows, but I know no matter what, I'm good. And I can't wait to see everybody else experiencing that same thing. All the people that are maybe struggling right now, all the people that, you know, want to be able to spend some time away from work, spend some more time with their family. They're going to be able to actually make all of those dreams happen, and I can't wait to be able to just share that memory with them.
And actually, both of us have started to see that, you know, messages, testimonials, people already, you know, and that's just going to get bigger, and that's what is one of the greatest feelings about doing all of this, and gives both of us a lot of gratitude to see the progress you guys make as well. So if kind of just feels like when you put a lot of energy into something, you make a lot of growth in yourself, and then you can share that with somebody else. It actually feels just as good, if not better, sometimes than when you actually make your own profits. So
I mean, think about it. Whenever something good happens, the first thing you want to do is go tell somebody about it, because then them getting excited about you makes you feel good, and it's kind of like this weird little recognition that you get, where you gotta, you know, kind of project that what you're excited about and get that recognition back to fully feel that. And so we're just barely starting to see that with crypto. Just wait until more and more people are really making profits, and then you're going to fully be able to feel exactly how exciting all of this stuff starts to get. And just to see the early stages happening right now, kind of doing what we always thought it would. We've been telling you guys it was going to break out, been saying that it's really a good time to be buying for a while, and, you know, just to see, you know, markets
reap the rewards.
Yeah, I mean, those entire lengths of accumulation, like a year's period of time, is just gone over the course of a couple weeks because the market impulsed. And it's really exciting to be able to have money on the table when all of that happens.
Especially when you've been watching that candlestick the whole time. We've literally been observing these markets, taking note of everything going on, like watching them every single day, checking them all the time, you know, and just really staying updated with ourselves about what we think, and journaling that, and making videos as well, which is another form of our journaling in the markets, really, for sure. It's basically like having a trading journal in video format, and just to see like the breakouts and stuff, the patterns we were expecting to see playing out exactly how we were expecting to. Now, a year from when we were first watching a lot of this stuff, and it's just like, you know, so rewarding to do that, and really just gives you like a sense of accomplishment that makes you want to share that with everybody else so that they can do the same thing. They can show their friends, they can show their family, check this out, Mom, look, check this out, look how much money I made over the past year, and I had to wait this long, but it paid off, and that's a really rewarding feeling. Yeah, and I think it's also attractive to people when you can be disciplined enough to have patience in something. Mm-hmm. So
for sure. I mean, my sister actually just barely bought some crypto the other day, and so she's actually finally stepped over, and so that was one of the big things. I've just been working really hard just to try to get as many people as I can into crypto. That's why I did my channel, that's why I do everything that I do, but when I get my family on board with this, it means a little bit more, because I know how much it's changed me, and to be able to just get the people that I care about most in on this stuff is exciting. And it's going to be cool to look back 2 years down the line and looking at this podcast, seeing the very start of it, when we have nothing, when we've got a couple fake plants back here, and just sitting with a cheap table, because this thing's going to get really big. There's going to be a ton of new people that really get into this space, and 2 years from now we're all going to look back in immense profit, and it's going to be really exciting to see kind of what transpired from these early points that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so exciting times to be in the markets, exciting times to be watching Bitcoin. Really cannot wait to look at this podcast when we're above 20,000 per coin. Yeah, we're gonna be looking back and being like, see, that's exactly what we knew was gonna happen. And I'm just super thankful for everybody that has been tuning into these two. I've been getting tons of people coming into them, and just comments and things people have been saying. Mm-hmm. A lot of feedback.
Every podcast I've posted on my channel has just grown consistently, getting more and more views, and so more and more likes. I know that you guys do find a lot of value in all the things that we talk about, and that's what we wanted to be able to do, is be able to connect with you guys in a different sort of way, aside from charts, aside from analysis, because I know how valuable it is when somebody can just talk about their overall perspective and what they're doing. It gives you guys a fuller understanding of how the markets move from a mind of somebody that's been able to actually experience all of this. And so it really does mean a lot that you guys tune in for this. I'm thankful to have you guys a part of this, and to be able to profit alongside Next to Me means a lot, because it makes it a lot more enjoyable from our perspective as well, to just see all the lives that are influenced, all the different things that come from this. And so we really are appreciative of all you guys that tune in.
Yeah, we're here to help you get down the crypto rabbit hole, but there's no promises that you're ever going to be able to get back out of it once you start going down that path.
Yeah,
so
have fun with that. Yeah, exactly.
But trust me, it's the best rabbit hole you can ever get stuck inside of. Exactly. Down that rabbit hole you'll find a pot of gold. So but yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I want to go over today. We've been about 50 minutes long, so that we usually try to do about an hour of this. Mm-hmm. Expect one next Friday. Well, actually, we upload them on Saturday. We record these usually on Friday, but expect them on Saturday. And pretty soon we're going to figure out how to get these on iTunes too. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now to make sure that we get that figured out soon. But yeah, you guys will be able to listen to this everywhere. Make sure you share it with your friends. Make sure that you subscribe to both of us. We always have the links in the description of everything. Down below. And that like button, make sure you smash it up for both of us so that we can see that number go up. I always love the viewers and all the content we receive in the comment section below as well. There's lots of people saying funny stuff down there all the time. So it's fun. And yeah, we'll definitely catch you guys next Saturday on the Moon Boy podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Dallin Anderson, and it has been very enjoyable with you guys today. So come again.
Peace out, guys.
As always, stay profitable out there.